Want to hear something funny? I'm gonna tell you, golly, this man, all this stuff is just coming in my mind. I forgot all about this. Uh, when Don was at the Olympic, he had a lot of champions he cultivated, and groomed, and Mondo Ramos, Raul Rojas, just man, countless. I can't remember Palomino, just so many of them. But he goes, there's only one trainer he had that he worked with over there, Jackie McCoy, Hall of Famer, that have Jackie McCoy.
That was old school fighter. It's going back a few years, isn't it?
Yeah, that was back in this. I met him one time, but I didn't know him. But I met him through Chargan, in fact, because he came up to Sacramento and had a fighter that fought him on the undercard. Well, he told him Jackie McCoy was the only fighter that had more than one champion. He had 5 of them with Chargan. He goes, all the other trainers, they only have one champion. And he goes, all them other trainers that had that one champion, he goes, they never had another fighter hit main event status. They didn't even get out of the preliminaries, he told me. Now, I'm going to ask you this. Was it the trainer or the fighter? This is the fucking fighter. All right? And the promoter. Okay? It was a trainer. It was a fighter and promoter. Okay? Okay? See, it makes a difference. You got the fighter. Now, a winning combination to me, if you want to make money in this business, there's 3 parts. Number 1, you got to have the talent. Okay? You ain't got the talent. I don't care how good a coach you are. I don't care how good of a promoter you are. You're not going to make it. Even though all these dreams of fantasy that you're a great coach, and I don't mean shit. Your fighter, Ray Arcel said it best. I don't care how great a coach you are or how much you think you know. If your fighter can't fight, your knowledge doesn't mean shit. Ray Arcel said that a long time ago. And what happened was there's a winning combination. I talked to Joe Goosen about it. You got to have the talent. Then you got to have the trainer, okay, to cultivate the talent. Then you got to have the promoter. And you all 3 work together as a team. Yeah. And Don Chargan told me the same thing before Joe told me that. He goes, you all got to be on the same page and you got to be working as a team for the same goal. Yeah. Then your fighter gets to those heights where they make money. And then you start patting yourself on the back. What a great trainer you are. You know what I mean? But it ain't all the trainer. You're only 25% of the equation. The promoter is 25% of the equation. The fighter is 50% of the equation. Okay, you got to understand that, man. Trainers, we only could do so much. Hell, you think I'm going to teach my guy to hit like Inoue? Are you fucking nuts? That's God given. You know what I mean? That's God given, man. You either have it or you don't, man. You can improve a guy's power, but guys that are natural punchers like Inoue, Pepino Cuevas, Tommy Hearns. Oh, remember Julian Jackson? Oh,
wow. Best one punch hitter I've ever seen.
Oh, but they had no chin, but he could sure deliver it. Oh, that Jackson. Oh man, what a puncher he was. But I've seen so many great punchers in my time, man. Oh, Chapo Rosario. Remember him? Edwin Rosario,
yeah.
Rosario was a vicious puncher. Natural God-given power, man. You can't teach that. The fuck? Yeah. I mean, I don't care how you can lift all the weights in the world, eat all the right foods, you do all this bullshit. But that's God-given punching power. You just can't teach. Diego had that.
Diego Corrales.
When he was a little kid, I used to work. I used to work the pads with him all the time. And the amateurs, you could feel the snap. But as he got older, I guess when he turned pro, I could start seeing it when he's hitting them guys. Yeah, Diego.
Yeah,
he's a good puncher, man. That Diego, and he put his combinations together beautifully. He was God-given talent. But his dad, Ray, the guy that made him, taught him like Floyd Sr. work ethic, toughness, being resilient, high degree of mental intestinal fortitude, taught him how to be a fighter, the foundation. Then Diego's God-given talent, athletic talent. You know what I mean? Then when I came aboard, I just polished up on things he was weak in just to help him out, man. And he won a national title with it. Yeah, his only one. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So that actually leads me quite nicely into into the next question. So, what are the most significant differences in how fighters are trained now as compared to when you began coaching?
Shit, man, they're in that strength and conditioning bullshit. That hand pad, the fancy pad work
Mm,
shit. They're not trained in the old school principles where shadow boxing was king. Shadow boxing was a foundation of learning your skill sets. They're not, they're not being, they're more flashy. They're more like, they train their fighters like they're making the next Creed movie. You know what I mean? All that unrealistic bullshit. They don't understand, you know, I'm not saying all of them. I just see a good majority of them. All I gotta do is go on Facebook. Instagram. You're like, oh, Jesus Christ. Where has the sport? What has the sport turned into? Bruce Trampler. You know Bruce Trampler,
Bruce Champler, I haven't heard of him, no.
Hall of Fame matchmaker. He works for Top Rank.
Okay.
He's the brains behind all the champions.
Mm,
At Top Rank, and he was telling a friend of mine this business is unrecognizable now from when he got in. Yeah, Bruce Trent is Hall of Fame matchmaker, man. He's good as it gets. He understands on how to build fighters. You know,
mm,
he was going to work for Don Charger when he was 21 years old back in the days. Yeah,
okay.
yeah. He knew Don way back then. Had a lot of respect, but it's unrecognizable. That's back then. The trainers. They taught you the fundamentals. They taught you the importance of shadow boxing. Everything, throwing your punches correctly, all that stuff, man. But everything starts with shadow boxing nowadays, man. Strength and conditioning, and the fancy pad work. You know what I mean. It's just
Yeah,
different.
I think unfortunately boxers are doing more shadow boxing at the expense of boxing technique.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You,
They
you
just
can't you can't you can't have that shadow boxing that strength and conditioning cut into the time you put into your craft, which unfortunately is happening. Boxers now, a lot of them are just looking like their physiques. Compare them to 50 years back, it's night and day, isn't it? But the best punchers,
yeah,
like you mentioned, Thomas Hearns, Sugar Ray Robinson, they had those lean, slender, rangy sort of physiques, didn't they? Leverage.
yeah, exactly. They think lifting
Mm.
weights is gonna make you a better
Yeah,
puncher and everything. All right. God, you're either born a puncher or not, man. That's all my experience is, man. Yeah, you either God gave you the ability to punch or He
yeah,
didn't, man. It's God given, man. And
yeah. Power,
Aguero,
speed, power, speed. Those natural reflexes, they're all God given, aren't they?
how the fuck you gonna teach? How am I gonna teach that shit to Floyd Mayweather? Come on, man. You know what I mean? Oh, Floyd, I'm gonna show you how to get your. I'm gonna show you how to get your reflexes good. I'm gonna show you how to throw your punches fast. Fuck it. God, like I said, punchers are born, man.
Mm.
Alexis Aguero, Arguello,
Yeah.
pretty damn good
Explosive.
puncher.
What was his nickname? El Flaco, Exploso,
Oh,
something like that.
Flacco,
The explosive
explosive thin
thin
man.
man. Yeah. No
He can
muscles
punch.
there, but he could knock you out.
Oh,
Yeah,
he can hit, and he
yeah,
was a devastating body puncher.
yeah.
Alexis. I knew Alexis real well. Yeah, I knew Alexis real well. Yeah, real good, man. Every time we go to see him at fights, sit down, talk, and
Uh,
have lunch or whatever, and he would tell me about his career and everything. He was trained by Futch too, but
yes, Futani was, yeah. Had a bit
before
of a
Futch,
falling out, didn't he? Had a bit of a falling out with Fudge. Then he sort of apologised and came back to Fudge, didn't he?
I really didn't get into that, man. He had another kid, Don, I forgot his name, some Puerto Rican coach that trained him. He really liked a lot. But before both of them guys, a guy named Julio Hernandez, a guy from Mexico, one of considered the best coach in Mexico. This is before Nacho. He
Mm.
had Cuevas, Pepino Cuevas. He started off Ricardo Finito Lopez. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. A guy named Julio Hernandez. Yeah. He had, he worked with Alexis Aguero, but Alexis would tell me. I told one time we were eating lunch. I said, Alexis, I could train you, because he's so talented. I could wake up with a Sunday morning hangover and train you. I started laughing. He goes, now you do need a coach, man. He goes, it's important that you have a coach. He told me that when he had Mr. Futch, how important was when Eddie was, or when he had what's his name, Julio Hernandez. Yeah. Oh, Don Kahn too. That was the last coach. Eddie. I mean, Alexis really liked a trainer from Miami. Yeah.
Okay.
He he trained a lot of the Latin fighters, but Lexus told me the importance of a coach, man. And you got to have a coach, man. You got to listen to your coach. And yeah, important. And Lexus didn't hit no fucking hand pads. Fuck no, man. Shadow box, sparred, bag work, double end, or speed bag, whatever, man. Yeah, he didn't have no strength conditioning and all that shit. Yeah. That's what he told
I
me.
think I think that's become the issue today, though. That fighters are now so accustomed to expecting to hit the pads that if you're not doing the pads, it's almost like a boxing coach won't make any money nowadays. Fighters have just become sort of attuned to that you have to have pads as part of your workout. So shifting that mindset would be very difficult as a coach to convince a fighter you don't need that many pads. You can do
Yeah,
all your workout, sparring, shadow boxing, heavy bag, and just a bit of mitt work. So I think,
that's true. That's
yeah,
absolutely right. They think pad work is everything. Fuck no, pad
mm,
work. Shit. Shadow boxing, then and once you get, you learn your fundamentals, you go right into sparring. Then afterwards, you hit the pad works and everything, sharpen your punches up, or just like when you shadow box, you could do everything on the pads. You know, improve
yeah,
leverage on your shots, improve body punching, improve the delivery of your punches. Sharpening up your jab, working on technique, working on strategy, working on situations, stuff like you can do that on the pads, but I don't do that shit. Now I use paddles now and the little bitty bag gloves when I do that stuff. So my shoulders and my elbows don't are about to fall off when I'm done. I'm 61 now, man. I ain't got time for my. I want to be
yeah.
healthy. I'm doing this to stay young, not to break my body down and I want
Yeah, I
to
mean, you're totally right. I was having the same conversation over the weekend with another coach. I said my two best fighters, they are the two guys who do the most shadow boxing.
who's
It's
that?
no.
Who's the coach?
So I was speaking to another coach over the weekend, and I mentioned to him that my two best fighters, they are my two fighters who have done the most shadow boxing. They do
Yeah,
more shadow boxing as opposed to pad work. They're always on the bag and doing shadow boxing, whether it's in the gym or in their own time. So yeah, you're totally right. And the shadow boxers, it's a game changer, isn't it? But
well, you
fighters
talk
just
to
don't. A
any
lot of fighters just don't want to believe that.
you talk to any Hall of Fame coach in the past, like I'm known, they'll tell you the same. Hey, I learned this from them guys. Okay, it's not something that just coming out. I learned it from back then from these guys, man. The importance of shadow boxing. Yeah, that's the over the years I learned. Hey, this is the fundamentals of learning. This is the foundation of learning your fundamentals, your basics. Yeah,
Mm,
and all that offense, defense. Yeah, man, shit. This is how you learn how to fight. Get in that ring and shadow box. But the thing is, you got to have a. To me, the best way is you get in the ring with your fighter when he's shadow boxing, and you're showing them stuff, you're teaching them stuff, correcting his mistakes, and all that stuff. All the stuff you do on the hand pads. I just use a little noodle. You know what I mean? So they could something they
yeah.
hit. Yeah. So they
Mm.
could. You know what I mean? So they
Yeah,
could. But they.
I suppose. Yeah, I suppose sometimes it's necessary just for the fighter's mental stimulation. Do something else. If
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
doing 12 rounds of shadow boxing,
Yeah.
they might
Yeah.
switch off. So they need to do a bit of round two of pads or noodles just to sort of get them mentally back in the game, don't they?
Well, if I'm in the ring with them, you know, they're I'm teaching them new stuff. They're learning. Okay, I'm not just
Mm.
hey go shadow box and I'm gonna go stand in the corner somewhere and drink coffee. I'm proactive when I'm training. When my guys are training, I'm working with them. Okay, I don't just leave them alone. When they're hitting the heavy bag, I'm right there watching them, correcting their mistakes. Praising them what they're doing right. Telling them what we need to do. Correcting. Everything. Hey, we got to work this combination. We need this. We need to put more combinations together. Okay. Oh, you're standing in front of the heavy bag too long. Start circling it. You know what I mean? Start using your jab. Start working distance, range and distance, just like a fight. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Just simulate a fight the way you're hitting the heavy bag. I'm with
Yeah,
them all
yeah,
the time. I just don't say, hey, hit the heavy bag. I'm hands on. Whether they're shadow boxing, the mitt work, whether they're hitting that double M bag. That double M bag is so underrated, man. Let me tell you why. A lot of guys just hit it. That double M bag?
yeah, yeah,
I like it for defense. Hit it, slip. You know what I mean? I like it to learn how to slip punches or block punches. Bap, bap, parry punches. Bop, bop, slip. Or I like it to throw them short uppercuts inside. I like it to work defense inside, short range defense. How to slip. You know what I mean? How to turn the
yeah,
shoulders and slip. I like to use that bag. So how to turn, how to catch, parry, how to block with lead shoulder. I like to use that double M bag to work on all that stuff. Yeah, instead of
Yeah.
just that bullshit. That's useless. Work on skill sets that that's gonna develop you into a better all around fighter instead of just doing a bunch of nonsense, man. That's what I like that double N. But when my fighters on that double N, I'm there working and showing them stuff. You know, I'm a teacher. So I teach
Yeah,
them that
yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Yes, will be interesting. So I was going to ask about lost arts and missing elements in boxing, but I think you've answered a lot of that with the shadow boxing and those sort of things. But is there anything else, any sort of specific skill or techniques that are prevalent in the past, which are now becoming lost arts? I know you mentioned inside fighting. We've spoken about shadow boxing. Anything else outside of those two?
Working off your jab effectively, being disciplined, you stay at range and distance, setting up everything with your jab. The feints, okay?
The feinting, yeah.
Feint. Just great fighters know how to. Right now, Ward, Shakir, Crawford, they know how to do all that stuff. They know how to stay disciplined with their game plan. Okay, they don't alleviate from their game plan round by round. They're consistent every round. Staying behind that jab. Yeah, that's the number one weapon in boxing, man. All them trainers in the past, we talked about, they always told me the jab is the number one. You know why? It's the only weapon in boxing you could use as an offensive weapon and defensive weapon. Yeah,
Mm,
it has dual purposes. You can't do that with
yeah,
the right hand or the uppercut. They have one purpose, offensive. But that jab you could use as a defensive purpose, keep your guy at range. Okay, better you're controlling your guy at range, the less you're going to get hit, or setting up your combinations with that jab. It's a measuring stick too. You hit a guy with a jab. There's an old saying. Old timers used to tell me you can hit a guy with the
land your
right
right
hand.
hand. Yeah,
Yeah. So it's a good measure. But that jab, yeah, it's number one. And just, learning how to work off the jab effectively and
mm,
how to feint. A lot of fucking fighters don't know how to feint. They don't understand how to use feints to set up their offense. They don't know
yeah,
how to use feints to disrupt opponent's offense. They don't know how to set it. Number one, they don't know how to set up their offense. And number two, they don't know how to use it as a defensive measure to disrupt the fighter's offense. You know what I mean? You
Do,
know,
do you think do you think that is in part because of amateur boxing being a 3 round, fast paced, where people almost don't have time to set up work in later rounds, so they just go straight into it fast, so then they fight at the same pace? Do you think that has something to do with it?
that's a 3 round fight. But when you turn pro, you got to learn all this stuff. When you're going through
Mm,
the fours, the six, the eights, you got to see when you're going through the 4 round stages, you got to learn all these skill sets as you go up the ladder. Okay, you got to learn how to fight inside. You got to learn how to work off your jab. You got to learn how to feint. In the 6 rounds, the same thing. You got to work when you start getting the 6 round fight. You got to start learning how to fight inside. You can't move. You can move around for
yeah,
4 rounds, but 6 rounds, hey, you're letting you start the fight starts selling in the pocket more. Okay, eight
yeah,
rounds, you got to learn inside fighting skills, the basic fundamentals. 8 rounds. So by the time you get to 10 rounds, you got all these fundamental skill sets under your belt. So you're a 10 round fighter, but you got to learn in the four, the six, the eight, and the tens. That's why you need a promoter to get you those fights, to get you the right opponents, to develop all these skill sets. So when you get to the 10 round stage, hey, you're ready. You're ready
mm,
to fight those 10 round type of fighters because you're all around, uh, you know,
yeah,
you developed all those skill sets from the 4 round stage. And as a coach, you got to teach your fighter all this stuff. Because man, Ryan Garcia, he didn't learn shit from round 4 rounds all the way to 12 round fights. He didn't learn shit. He stayed the same. If you look at Ryan Garcia, every single one of his fights, knocked out bum after bum, or he looked the same. He never evolved or developed into a professional all around fighter. And I could tell you, I can name a lot of them. You gotta,
yeah.
you gotta learn all this stuff so as you go up the ladder. So when you get
The
into the
natural
10 round
progression.
stage, that's called the developmental. That's how you develop a fighter. The development of a fighter. How you nurture a fighter, right? You got to learn. Start with the 4 rounders, then six, eight. You got to learn everything we talked about. You got to learn all. So when you get to the 10 round stage, okay, you got a good understanding of. You're not a master of it yet, but you got a good understanding. So as you fight better fighters in the 10 round stage, you start becoming a master at your craft as you go on.
Mm.
Yeah. So when you get into that championship round stage, you should be ready to win the title if you're good enough. Yeah. Yeah. I seen the
Amazing.
evolution of Crawford when he just came up. This is exactly, they did a great job. Bomac and his team. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they did a great damn job.
Mm.
Bozy did an excellent job with his son, Geron. Yeah,
Boot tennis. Yeah.
Bozy did a tremendous job. I seen his elevation. See, that's what I do. I see all these hot shot amateurs, and I want to see how they develop when they go along.
Mm.
And you know what I mean? If they look, if they're in the 8 round stage, and they still look like they are, they haven't learned nothing, and they look like they haven't learned nothing, and they look the same like they're in the 4 round stage, you got a fucking problem. You know what I mean?
Mm.
You get they're already in
Yeah.
the 8 round stage, but they're missing all the skill sets you need to get, to be effective when they get to the 10, 12 round stage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff you got to learn. And once
Mm.
you're not a master of this stuff. And, it takes a long time to master all this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So looking back on your whole career as a coach, what do you consider the most memorable or most fulfilling moment in your coaching career?
When I got to work in Colombia, how blessed I was, coming from America. They're spoiled. When I went down there, God damn, man, it's poor. How fortunate I was, man, and how blessed. It changed me as a human being, maybe a better human being. Like, man, I didn't have it that bad in the States. Over there, shit, struggling for your next meal. That's what Some of them, most of them, just eat 1 meal a day. That's all they can afford. You know
Wow.
what I mean? And training in that gym, the conditions they lived in, uh, the gym we had was nothing special. All the poor fighters, they just, they wanted to be somebody, man. But, they just needed opportunity. So that was probably the biggest memory because it changed me as a human being. It made me a better human being. Like, man, Jesus, it puts everything in perspective. Like, man. But yeah, and I had a lot of them, and I had so many. But as a human, to better myself as a human being, that was Colombia, man. That was tremendous. I'll plan on going back, in the future, man,
Yeah.
because there's so much talent over there. Like the 2 guys I got now that need help, and that want to become somebody that I can be a positive effect on their life. Yeah. So eventually, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think as a coach, um, it's helping people, isn't it? Where we find our sort of fulfillment, seeing other people, the work you've done with them, how it sort of raises them, improves them, and helps them. As a
Yeah.
coach, yeah, it's more satisfying, isn't it?
Look, man, these fighters here, I got 2 pretty good fighters coming up, okay? And nobody wanted to help them. Nobody. When they moved here to Mexico, nobody wanted to help them. So if I didn't help them, nobody was going to help them. So, man, I wanted to help them. So I started helping them and everything. And I put a lot of money into them. And, you know what I mean? And, but I want, now I want to I'm going to position them in an opportunity to change their lives and put them in big fights where they can make big money and change their lives. You know what I mean? So and
Yeah. I
we're
hope,
on the
yeah,
right track so far.
yeah. I hope that all goes well for you and all goes to plan for you. Um, it's
Nothing's
just that's what
guaranteed.
coaching. Yeah, but yeah,
Nothing.
it's what coaching is all about, isn't it? Uplifting others, helping others, sort of reach. It's
For
like
me, it
when you
is.
yeah, it's like when you train a young kid, as an amateur, and even if he makes his debut, it's it's satisfying, fulfilling for us as coaches, isn't it? Because you see that kid come from a complete beginner, going into the ring, overcoming his fears, and showing his talent. So for us as coaches, it's personally very satisfying, isn't it? Helping them achieve that
Yeah.
and playing some part in that. Yeah.
You better have that type of feeling in you. If not, you're not a coach.
Mm,
You better have that type
exactly.
of feeling of helping people and helping them achieve their dreams, helping them change their lives, helping them to be a positive influence in their life. Yeah. I can
Yeah.
say Diego Corrales since his first pro fight when I started working with him when he won his first national title. Yeah, that was fulfilling when he won it, man. I was happy, man.
Yeah.
God damn. Yeah, because I remember him from scratch. Now he's the national champion. Then he went on to turn pro and became champion. 21 years old. Yeah. So yeah, yeah.
So that's so going flipping that question to the other side. So are there any particular lessons or values you hope every fighter who comes through your gym takes away from their experience with you?
To be a better human being, to learn the values of discipline, work ethic, okay, to be persistent, okay, what do you call it? To do the right things, okay, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Just the, the value of work, hard work. Hard work pays off. The value of self discipline, the value of being consistent on what you have set out to do. Without consistency, there's no development. Okay, you got to be consistent on what you do every day. Execute your game plan. Okay, if you want to get better at this every day, you got to work at it. Okay, and that's it. Life values that when their boxing career is done, then hey, they could pursue something else and be successful and become good human beings. That's to me the most important thing. You know what I mean? Fame that comes and goes, man. Being a world champion and getting money and all that. Well, and with fame and making money comes problems too. De La Hoya
Yeah.
had his big time share of problems. I don't want to get
Mm.
into them, but yeah, he had his, all that money when he got. That's not only De La Hoya; it's all fighters. When they come
Yeah.
across money they never had before, they do stuff. They make bad choices. They do stuff they shouldn't be doing, and their life turns from good to worse. It's because of money, because of fame. Bernard Hopkins says they got caught up in the bullshit of fame. And that's
Mm.
why Bernard was so successful because he disciplined his mind not to get caught up in the bullshit of success and all the
Yeah.
problems that it brings. So I'm trying to, I've been through all that. So I try to guide my fighters and warn them. You know what I mean? But the main thing is, God, God willing, we have some success in the future, which I feel good. When all that
Mm.
shit comes up, I'm gonna sit them down, man. This is when the problems start now. They're
Mm.
not going to understand it,
Yeah.
but I am because I've seen it and I've experienced it. Especially when they got money.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus,
But
if you got
that's
money,
the
boy,
difference. That's the
huh?
difference. You have experienced it. Do you think these fighters need to go through that experience as well before they actually realize the value of what you're telling them and the importance of what you're telling them? Do they sometimes need to just go through that fire? Can
Well,
can you can they avoid it?
I can explain it to them and tell them and this and that, but sometimes some guys are knuckleheads and they got to learn the hard way.
Mm.
Oh yeah, but at least gave I gave them the opportunity to let them
Yeah.
know that problems are going to occur. Now, if you ignore my advice and don't come back to me saying I told you so.
Mm.
I mean, but anyway,
So, so what motivates you? You've been in the game for what 5 decades, is it? And you've
yeah.
experienced it all. You've experienced it all. So, what motivates you to continue evolving and working as a coach?
Well, everything I talk about, I love what I do. I love helping these young fighters, achieve their dreams. I enjoy their development, and I also enjoy the thrill of winning when they're successful. Losing,
Mm.
man, that's hard. I'm not a, I mean, I'm a competitor. I don't like losing, man, and it's hard. It's hard, man. I just don't accept losing, man. You know what I mean? But if we lose, it's because the fighter's better. Okay. Yeah, but you gotta, I love it. I'm a competitor. I like to win. You know what I mean? And but the most important thing is for the fighters, to improve, to change their lives, to have a positive effect on their lives. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
after that's my and being in the gym every day, learning and teaching, and watching them grow, everything. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
watching them develop. Man,
Mm.
I remember these two guys when I got them, man. These guys, when I first got them, they're green as molasses. I got a lot of work to do, but I knew, in my mind because of experience, I seen where I could get them to. Okay, and they didn't even know it. Okay, now we got to work
Mm.
every day. Okay, now we got to put in the work every day. Do all the right things we got to do to get to where they could be, where I envisioned they could become. Yeah, but that's
Mm.
experience, That stuff,
Yeah.
you can't learn on, that's experience over the years. I learned and everything, but I learned that. I loved it, and when I see them growing, But when they get success, they get big headed. So I got to check them too. Hey, don't get too cocky, man. Hard as it takes to get to where you are, you can lose it just like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you can lose it just like that. Especially when you got money. Oh Jesus, fighters are fiscally irresponsible. They make money, especially when they get to the big level. They make money and they blow it. They're fiscally illiterate and fiscally irresponsible. They don't have a investor's mindset. Set some aside, put it in some type of investment, let it grow. So when they're done boxing, they have a little nest egg. Not fighters. Oh, if they make 100, they'll spend 200. Yeah. You want to hear a
I suppose,
story?
yeah, go on.
It was back in the 90s, Don King, he had an office at the MGM Grand. All them broke ass fighters he had. Every time they fight, they spend their money. And one day one time I was in Vegas. We had a fight up there, and I went to the office, the back office, just to say hi to everybody. And all these fighters were walking in, man, no names mentioned, and they were all hitting Don up for what do you call it? Advances. I need 10 grand, Don. I know Don would give him the money. And Don never wrote anything down. It was all in his head. So when the next time they fought, Don took it out. Yeah, and the fighters would get pissed. They thought, man, what's Don? What did you take that 10 grand out for? Hey, man, Don gave it to you. That was your advance, man. You think he gave it to you for free? Hey, that's your fault for spending all that money, that big 6-figure payday you made. You just blew it. And then 2 months later, you're asking Don for 10 grand to pay the bills and didn't pay your taxes. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or him bailing you out of jail because you got in trouble. You know what I mean? And hiring a lawyer to keep you out of jail. You know what I mean? Oh, Don, he'll pay all that, but he'll take it out of your purses, man. Yeah. A lot of people,
There's some stories going around about Don King, aren't there?
Huh?
There's some stories going around about Don King over the years, isn't there?
I heard a lot of them.
Yeah.
I heard a lot of them. But me personally, my people, he always took care of us, man. Yeah, he was good. He was good guy. I never had no problems with Don, man. Yeah, I just seen the other fighters though, man. How they just go through their money and they go back in the office and that's how Don kept them loyal to him. He knew these fucks, these dumb shits were irresponsible and blow the money. And so, okay, I'll give you the advance. You can't go anywhere. Don't even try to leave me. You owe me money. And Don would take it out of their next purse. Oh yeah. Yeah, man. So the fighter, if he's making 100 grand and he borrowed 30 from grand, 30,000 for Don, they would get 70. Yeah. Oh, Don, he'd have a shitload of cash on him all the time. But Don is in his mind, man. Photographic memory. He didn't write shit down. He didn't call his accountant. Kept it all in his mind. Oh yeah, that King boy. He's smart. Probably the smartest guy I ever met in boxing, man. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
I can tell you some stories about him in another story.
yeah.
Nothing to play
Looking
Don.
forward to it.
I know a lot of people complain about Don and this, but okay. There's two sides of a story, okay? How about when he bailed your ass out of jail? How about when he hired your lawyer to keep you out of jail? How you think that was free? Shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, I could tell you some stories on that, but anyway, yeah.
Yeah. So I want to finish off with a question on boxing. I want you to name your top 5 boxers of all time.
Oh,
so not your 5 favorite, the 5 boxers who you think were the 5 best ever.
Oh, jeez. Sugar Ray Robinson, Muhammad Ali. I like Duran. Shit. Man, I didn't get to see all those other fighters back in the days, like Henry Armstrong. I just seen glimpses of them, but they're fighters, man. You're talking about guys that fought 20 times a year. You got to put them in there. Armstrong. Jesus. I heard Charles Burley was
Charlie Burley, yeah. Charlie Burley from the Black Mojo as well, yeah.
Yeah, Don knew him real well. He was, you know what?
Okay.
He was, oh yeah. He was a garbage man all his life. And a fighter. He worked as a garbage man. He said Sugar Ray Robinson was the greatest he ever saw. Burley was number 2.
Really? It's
Eddie
interesting.
Futch said Burley was number one. Sugar Ray Robinson was number two. Yeah,
Mm.
that's what they told me. So, but
Yeah,
greatest
yeah,
fighters, the ones I love Chavez. And I love Ali. He was number one. Duran, Tony. Even now Mayweather. Man, there's so many of them. Man, I mean, I
mm.
love the Alexis, Salvador. Jesus, man, there's so many of them, man. So many great fighters, man. Back in the days, Oliveras. You know him,
Ruben
Ruben Oliveras,
Oliveras. Yeah, I've
Waka
done a
Body.
couple of studies. Done a couple of studies on his feints, incidentally, and his left hook as well.
His left hook to the body
Yes,
was a blueprint that other Mexican trainers use to teach their fighters. Yeah, Don promoted him too. Did a few with
okay.
him. Yeah.
So who would you say was the best ever Mexican fighter then?
Oh, it's got to be Julio Cesar Chavez.
So so recently we had Sanchez being labelled as number one over Chavez. Do you see? I mean, I agree. I think it was Chavez Senior simply because the amount of work fights he had as well. Sanchez,
Chavez, he died
sorry,
too
carry
early.
on. Exactly.
Yeah,
So people only remember him at his best, whereas Chavez had his whole career, so you saw his whole body of work. Whereas, yeah, it's a bit like the Bruce Lee sort of thing, isn't it? Bruce Lee's always known as the greatest martial
yeah,
artist.
yeah.
Unfortunately, he passed away young, so you never see him at his best.
I remember Julio when he was coming up. Don promoted a couple of his fights. I had him on a couple of his shows. Yeah, when he was coming up. Yeah, Julio, natural fighter. A guy that you just get him in shape. He knew how to fight. His brothers told me that. Rodolfo said Julio was a natural. No matter who trained him, he was going to be great. You know what I mean? Some guys are you just put on this earth. Hell, man, I could wake up drunk, a hangover every day, and train them. They're gonna be great. It's just God, like Duran said, God put me on this earth to be a champion, and that's guys like Chavez. Whoever trained him, man, you don't need no natural. You could fuck up, and he still will be a champion. Okay, that's how good he was, man. Some guys are like that, man. Even Salvador Sanchez, his first trainer, a guy named Enrique Herta. You never heard of him. Who is he? That's the only fighter I ever trained. That was great. What I'm trying to say, anybody could have trained Sanchez. He would have been great. All right? He was that good, Salvador. You know?